Sprint review is one of the most important events within the Scrum process, and if you are not handling a sprint review properly, it could lead to very dissatisfied stakeholders. So what's happening in the sprint review is that there's some sort of demonstration happening. There are some stakeholders that are watching this demonstration, and there's going to be essentially feedback given, right? Feedback that's going to be given, and you guys need to be capturing that feedback and prioritizing, as we know within the sprint and product backlogs. So a lot of stuff is happening here. And what typically happens in a sprint review is none of this stuff yeah, this demo does happen. Stakeholders get very rowdy at the end of the day. Feedback becomes very negative, and you're unable to do any of the prioritization. So this is the typical use case, that scenario that typically happens within the sprint review. So we need to be discussing in terms of why this is happening and how you can avoid that. Well, very simply, the why. The why really comes down to a couple of things, is that the team hasn't really collaborated, right? They haven't collaborated, and they haven't focused their efforts in delivering a successful demonstration. And there has been actually problems during the sprint, and they've been unsuccessful in resolving them. And some of the problems could have been risks and impediments. It could also be that it's a technical gap for them to breach. Technical gaps. Anything along these lines can cause problems here. And it can actually also be that they ran out of time. So time is another factor here. So time. All these things can cause the sprint review to get destroyed. And what we need to do here is that make sure within the sprint planning, we have a sprint goal which is realistic. So within the sprint planning, we need to have a sprint goal which is realistic, that the team can actually commit to and say, yes, we're going to achieve this, right? And on top of that, we want to use the daily stand-up meetings and check if we are on track and we're being able to deliver upon the promises that we agreed on within the sprint goal and the sprint planning session, right? So there's a couple of checkpoints that are going on there. But critically, about 2 to 3 days before the sprint review, you need to actually start prepping. Yes, despite what the guides say, despite what some of the methodologies are saying here, you actually need to prep. And I'll tell you why. It's a very simple thing why. We live in a practical world. We live in a world whereby we have stakeholders. Stakeholders want to see value for their money. And if you're unable to deliver value for your money, for their money at the end of the day, you will be questioned in terms of what value are you bringing here towards the end of the day. So that means we need to prep. If we don't plan, if we don't prep, then we're planning for failure. That's a very well-known fact. We need to prep so we have a very successful stakeholder engagement. So they can see the value for their money that they're getting from the demonstration. You can't just give them a rubbish demonstration. They need to see that they're getting value at the end of the day. So make sure that you prep. Make sure that you do a proper demonstration. Make sure that the other thing is that they are engaged. If they're not engaged, they're not going to really be honest with you. So get the engagement out. And that could be from the team encouraging it, or the product owner. Any one of these individuals can increase that engagement. So prep, get the stakeholders engaged, get them to see the value that they're getting from the sprint review, and most importantly, should you start debating with them? Debates, discussions. Write in the comments down below, what do you guys think? This is a tricky area to handle, because if two people don't see eye to eye, you're going to end up having a fight very soon. Product owner in the crossfire with the stakeholder, and then the Scrum Master needs to step in and control the situation. And if you are not an experienced Scrum Master, you're going to have a lot of problems right there. You're going to have a very bad situation, and you might have a stakeholder that walks out the sprint review saying, I'm never coming back to you guys ever again, and can put in a bad report for you somewhere higher up, and it could spell trouble for your team. So it's in your best interests to watch out for debates and intense discussions that are happening. So be aware. I'm saying be aware that this is happening, and make sure if it's getting to a point where there's no return, that you control that situation quickly before it turns out to be a very bad sprint review at the end of the day. Okay, so just a couple of tips there. I know the methodologies and guides say something totally different, but the practicalities of it is totally different as well. So take it from someone that's been doing it for the last 15 years. So if you want to have some final tips in here and you're looking to take this more seriously, guys, there is one certification I have been representing, I'm proud of representing, is the Safe Scrum Master certification. It's my go-to certificate whenever I need advice, whenever other people need advice. It's pragmatic, it's actionable, and it's practical. And the beautiful thing is it actually gives you a clear agenda for the sprint review. It actually tells you some of the areas to watch out for, so watch out areas. And it also tells you what the Scrum Master's role is as well. So you get a lot of bang for your money. And if you're interested to take this certification, feel free to contact me on my social media or my WhatsApp, and I hope to see you guys on one of my coaching calls or one of my training courses very soon. Thanks for watching.